Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Monday, the start of another week. So, yeah, today is Monday and it means ghost stories. So if you have never been here before on a Monday, I basically tell ghost stories that my subscribers send in to me on this email address right here. Ghost stories, weird stories, alien stories, weird people stories, anything that's paranormal, a little bit weird, a little bit creepy, send them right here to this email address. Now, this series is very much based on Bailey Sarian's Murder Mystery and Makeup Mondays, and I'll leave a link to her channel below, although I'm very sure you already know who she is if you're here. So if this is your first time here on a Monday, usually I think of like A Way to Die, and I create a look inspired by that. Very artistic. Usually it's just an excuse to try new products that I've got. I think of A Way to Die. I should come prepared, hey. Have I done Poisoned already? I've done Poisoned. Okay, let's say Poison Ivy, because there's a group of colours from this palette that I really want to use. Here's the thing, I thought, listen, new year, new me, let me become vegan. Have I done this already? And I thought, what better way to be vegan? Not that vegans do this, because it's not a thing. But I was like, let me go and like forage for my own vegetables and my own things to eat. And I went to the woods with a wooden basket, and I was like, I feel like, you know, Sleeping Beauty in the forest with my basket. And I was just picking plants, and I was like, this will do. And I went to some Poison Ivy thinking it was just, you know, a plant. I thought, like, I'll make some tea out of this, and I poisoned myself by making Poison Ivy tea. And that's the story I'm sticking to. So there are a few new things I want to use in this video. Now, maybe talk about them as I go through, but first of all, let me just take these off so I can show off this ring. I want to say thank you to Mysticum Luna, who know my taste in jewelry so well that they sent me this incredible, get in focus, ring here. Fits in with my other jewelry really, really well, but also the necklace to go with it. These feel so expensive and so luxury. And I actually own, you've probably seen on my fingers or my rings, I actually own so many rings from them already. So this was an absolute honor to get a ring sent from them. And I'm so impressed and pleased with it. So thank you so much to them. Also as well, thank you to Kaleidos, because today I'm going to be using the Club Nebula palette with Angelica Nequavis. And I think I maybe said that wrong, but it's a beautiful last name. Yeah, so I'm going to do that. And also I am using my Spectrum brushes. They sent me the Ursula collection, the Little Mermaid Ursula collection. So I have those right here. They also came in the amazing bag, which is over there, and I'm not getting up to get it. Okay, so shall we? I already have my primer on. Let's dive straight into these ghost stories today. Straight into these stories. I always say that, and it's always like 20 minutes later. Oh, and that reminds me, you can send in your stories however you like. Writing, voice, audio only, video. Up to you, however you want to do it. Okay, Poison Ivy, let's go. Crazy, crazy poison. So our first story today is called Haunted French Apartment. First and foremost, I love your channel so much. You're absolutely awesome. Thank you so, so much. I'm going to tell you the most terrifying thing that ever happened to me. And I point out that until this event, I did not believe in the paranormal at all. This is gonna be good. I had to move 2 years ago and leave my parents' house in the order to continue my studies. This terrified me anyway. I hate living alone. From the first second that I spent in this apartment, I immediately felt a sweltering atmosphere. It was as if somebody or something did not want me here. I foolishly convinced myself that it was just my fear of change until the first night here. All evening, I heard the neighbours upstairs walking with an extremely noisy and heavy step, and the neighbour next door talking alone in his apartment. I just told myself that the sound installation was bad to reassure myself. When night came, I heard someone breathing loudly behind my front door. I immediately opened the creaky door, but there was no one on the landing. Later that night, in the middle of the night, I woke up in a burst of fear. I couldn't move at all and I felt suffocated. I swear I felt hands around my neck, strangling me. After several minutes of panic, I found the strength to turn on the light. There was nobody. So I called my family in tears. They were all kind and I was glad I didn't even unpack my moving boxes so I could return home. Let me cover my eyes because I'm reading the first. I cut off the end of the story. The following morning, I returned the keys to the owner. I explained everything to him and he told me that nobody lived above and next to my apartment. I was petrified with fear and glad to flee as fast as possible from there. Luckily, I found another apartment not haunted by the devil. When you're reading these stories about like, oh, thank you for your story. When you're reading these stories about these hauntings, it kind of like, you can kind of understand how people cope with being like regular haunted, you know, like a cup flying. No, that's scary. Like an object moving from where you left it and all that kind of stuff. But I would never be able to cope with being like strangled in the night. That's where I would like draw the limit. When they can physically touch you and they like breathe behind you. Like, what kind of ghost is like, oh my god, what am I gonna do today? I'll just stand at this door and just breathe heavy. Like, come on. Like, you're a ghost who can like strangle people. Surely you can do something better than breathing heavy behind a door. I don't want to upset any ghosts or anything. You do what you need to do to haunt people. Thank you so much again for sending out a story. I'm just gonna try and, I wasn't paying attention what I was doing on the other eye, and now I have to kind of even these out. Okay, I don't know what I've done, but we'll sort that out. Anyway. Okay, I think we have an audio story next. Yes, I love it. Oh, and this comes with a video. Let's have a look.
Hey, Robert. This is your #1 fan from Alabama. If you cannot tell, I'm from the southern part of the United States, and I've got a pretty good ghost story for you. Now, this happened right around October of 2020. I'm not sure when it will make it to your channel, but just to give you a time frame, I do have 5 children, and 3 of them are on the autism spectrum. And my first grader kept coming home and telling me he'd made a new friend at school. Now, bear in mind, this is a very small country school. Every class has about 7 or 8 kids. And I kept asking him, well, you know, what's your friend's name? And at first, he didn't tell me. He just said, well, he looks like me, so I call him Me. I said, well, you need to learn your friend's name. And the next week went by, and he came home and said he was playing with his friends on the monkey bars, and his friend convinced him to climb up as far as he could, but then he had no way of getting back down. So he was dangling there, and another child had to run and get another teacher because my son was clinging on basically for dear life. Had he fallen, it would have been a pretty significant drop, and he really would have gotten hurt. And when I asked him why he did it, and he explained to me that Ghost Me told me to do it. And this is the first time that he had called this entity or whatever Ghost Me. And I guess that's the name he gave him because he looked alike or what have you. Evil, weird things started happening around our house. I'm going to attach a video that is our surveillance system, and keep in mind in that video that's around where my son and the rest of my children play and where they keep their bicycles, and they know to stay in that frame in case I have to run in the house, where that I can see them all even if I'm inside for a minute. So just bear in mind when you see that video, that's what you're looking at. Well, I reached out to someone who might be able to help. She said that, you know, she was a medium and that she felt there was an energy clinging to one of my children. And her advice to us was that the child had been hurt, probably back in the 80s or 90s, and went to the school that my son went to and just felt very close to my son, Jasper. Jasper's his name, because they were the same age and the same stature and looked a lot alike. Well, you know, back then in those times, there wasn't the internet. Every single accident wasn't put out there. So it took me several days to dig up what I could find, and the medium had told us that the child was afraid of their father, and that's why they didn't go back to their own home. And when I found the story about this child, he went to the same school as my little boy, and that he was in the car with his mom and dad, and his dad was drunk and killed the mother and the child. And I also found out that they had, not only was he at the same school, but he was in the very same classroom that my son is in right now. So after the story got out, the medium said that the spirit would probably leave because he just wanted to share his story. And ever since then, we really haven't heard anything about him or seen him around. But yeah, there's your creepy story from Alabama. I absolutely love your channel. I love all your makeup tips. You're just wonderful. You're amazing. You rock. Your aesthetic is just all I could wish for and more. I love you, and I wish you all the success in the world. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, I absolutely adore Southern American accents. I think they are the most relaxing, I don't know, there's just something really calming about them for me. Thank you so much for your story. That is, oh, it's you know, stories like this confuse me emotionally, because at the same time I'm like, oh my god, that's so sad. For like, I feel like poor ghost, and then also I'm like, oh my fucking god, ghost. You know what I mean? And I mean, what a way to pass as well. And you know, I wonder if sometimes that's just the key to like stopping your haunting, doing a little bit of research and finding out what happened. That ghost just wants a little bit of recognition, you know? That's why sometimes I think if I was ever haunted and you watch like scary films and the person is like, oh, I need to go to the library and find out how this person died. Then they go to visit like their abandoned house and they find a painting. I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered. It's just going to haunt me for the rest of my life. Okay, my camera just ran out of battery, as always. I'm waiting for like the thing where I don't have to charge it, like it's always plugged in. But you know, it's taking ages because COVID. Okay, so the next story is called The Aswang. It says, Dear Robert, that's me. My country, the Philippines, had lots of gods and goddesses until we were colonized by the Spanish, who brought our mythology down as they taught us more about Christianity. Since then, mysterious beings of the dark start to rise from the shadows of the night. My mum and her family have had supernatural encounters throughout their entire lives. When they were small children, they moved to a new area. Their neighbour was nice enough to give them fruits and would wave whenever they would pass his house. That's cute. One day, her brothers and sisters and her woke up with blood at the tips of their fingers. All of them were confused as to what caused this to happen, but eventually didn't dig deep enough to find out. Her mum had told them years later that the reason why they had woken up like that is because there was an aswang within close proximity to the house they were staying in. It had tasted their blood due to the fact that they were new to the area and had to make sure that they weren't bad people. Was it the neighbour who gave them the fruit? Another time she was walking down the road at night, she would see in her peripheral vision a dark shadow. She would turn around and see a man walking in her same general direction. It was normal enough until the man suddenly disappeared on her out of nowhere and noticed that from a nearby tree was a black umbrella thing stuck to it. Her feet instantly picked up the pace as her suspicions grew. She knew it wasn't an umbrella, but that man who disappeared from her sight. Was that the aswang? An aswang is a creature who can function in society like a normal human being. Some would be similar to vampires, and the most common well-known iteration is the Manananggal. Yes, I think I said it right. Who would live a normal life as a human in the morning and go hunting for prey at night. Their torso gets torn from their lower half. When they find food and return, they will have had their fill. The transformation would happen when the sun sets and would be dark out. Their teeth and nails will become pointier as they become more of a predator. Typically, they would be found where less people are, so the provinces. It would be easier for them to feed in these scheduled places, so no one would suspect a thing if they barely see anyone anyway. They would hide in the trees until someone or something would unfortunately come to the wrong place at the right time. That was nearly my mum. Ooh, no thank you. I love a good, like, traditional creature story, you know. I think they're really, really interesting, and yeah, I just love them. What was I gonna do? Okay, so now we have, as is custom, Marcus reading us a story.
Hi, it's me, James. Today I'm doing it today because Marcus can't be here. No, I'm joking actually, it's just me. Sorry, I know that would have tricked everyone because it's a really good impression. This first story is called The Child of the Park. Hello, Robert. I don't know what this experience was, and I would love to get your thoughts. I have a little puppy called Dave. My mum told me one night to go and take him for a walk. So I took him to the park, and when I got there, there was this little boy who looked around 10 years old. I'd never seen him before here. At first I thought nothing of it, but then I was a bit confused because I went at about 9 PM. Why would a child be alone in the park at 9 PM at night? He comes up to me and says, "Oh my God, it's Dave. I love your puppy." Again, I thought nothing of it because my mum could have taken him to the same park. I found out later my mum doesn't know this park even exists. The child asks to stroke Dave and I allow him. Dave normally barks at people. He's just a puppy after all, but this time Dave doesn't even flinch. After about 10 minutes, the child gets up and says his mum's made him dinner and he has to go now. He walks past me to go home. I turned around and he was just gone. The path he took had no turns, and on the right hand side is the road anyway. I later looked on the internet to see if anything happened in this park, and it turns out a 9-year-old got murdered there. I've not been back to the park since, and Dave has not been the same, barking around the house. He just won't stop. Oh, well, I hope Dave has calmed down now. Here's the second dog-related story today. It's called Goodbye Zeus. Hi Robert, I know you hate them, but this is a dog story, and I'm sorry in advance if you cry. When I was about 10, we got a dog named Zeus. He was a black pug and absolutely stole my heart the moment he came into the house. I used to sleep on the couch cuddling him at night, or he would sleep with me in my room. I would keep my door open at night so he could come and go as he pleased. One night when I was about 14, I went to stay with my cousin, and she woke up that morning to tell me she was taking me home rather than to school. I figured I was just going to take the bus to school when I got home, so got ready and started packing our lunch. However, my dad had bad news for us. He tells me that after I left yesterday, Zeus got out and chased a squirrel down the road. My dad went after him, but found him in front of my aunt's house. A car had hit him and driven off. Not sure if it was by accident or on purpose, as some arseholes like to hit animals. I broke down crying, and my dad carried me into my bed and tucked me in. We buried Zeus in a beautiful spot in our garden and had a little memorial for him. A few months later, I was sleeping and heard a noise. I woke up and looked at my door. By this point, I started sleeping with the door closed after he passed. However, I heard a little scratch on it, and then after a little whimper. I opened the door so the noise would stop and laid back down. A few minutes later, I heard breathing and a squeaky toy. I started to tear up immediately. I felt something jump on my bed and lay down by my feet. When I woke the next morning, I found his favourite squeaky toy in the shape of a bone next to my bed. I never told anyone that story, and I still cry thinking about it. My little boy came back to tell me goodbye and snuggle one last time. Hope you all have a lovely week. I'll see you next time where either me or me, James, will be reading more stories.
Oh, I can't deal with dog stories. They're so cute. It's always dog stories. Dog stories always get me. It can humans I don't get. It's a dog what I do, but it's for dog stories that really get to me, especially when they came back for like a little snuggle. I'm laughing now, I can't stop. I think I should move on. Thank you so much for those stories. They were so nice, and it's so nice to have like well, it's not so nice the first one, but the second one, it's so nice to have a last goodbye because you didn't get the chance to. I can't stop crying. Okay. Whew. Listen, you have to watch your pets so intensely. You know, you think you know them and then they'll run away or run outside. And they don't know these things. You have to protect them, you know? Okay. I can't stop. Okay, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Back. Oh, I'm all snotty now. Okay, thank you so much for your stories. We have one more story. Hopefully I won't cry. This is called Gallows Corner. I'm sorry, listen, if snot is coming out my nose, I'm so sorry, I can't help it. Firstly, thank you for always making great YouTube content to both educate and entertain us. Thank you. Thank you for always keeping it real yet respectful. Thank you, I appreciate that. I was 12 years old and my sister was yet to turn 6 when this happened to us. It was late on a Sunday evening around 11 PM in November. My father was out at the pub and probably on his way home. My mother was in the kitchen downstairs directly below us, ironing and singing to herself. My sis and I were the only ones upstairs, and we shared a bedroom. It was a tiny box room. We were both in bed, all lights were off, just chatting and giggling. All of a sudden, there was a loud knocking on the bedroom door. It was so hard the door shook. My sis and I looked at each other, slightly alarmed, knowing there was nobody upstairs, but us two. I tried to laugh it off, jokingly said, "Come in." To our horror, the handle slowly turned and the door opened very slowly. At this point, both of us were paralyzed with fear, so we put the covers over us, as if that would have made us invisible. The door opened fully, yet there was nobody there. My sister made me get out of bed and close the door because she said it was my fault the door opened. I told whoever it was to come in. I plucked up the courage after about 5 minutes, rushed out of bed, turned the light on as the switch was by the door, and closed the door. We knew it wasn't our mother, as throughout she was still downstairs singing and my father was yet to return home. We were so terrified. We, my sister and I, had previously experienced knocking on the kitchen window late in the evening a few weeks before the incident. We both ran up the stairs to my mum, who was in our bedroom sewing. She tried to calm us down. She came downstairs to wake up our father, who was asleep in front of a telly in the next room. My father got up, went outside to check that both the front and back gates were locked, but he confirmed they were locked. Let's just say nobody has access to the kitchen window because it sits at the side of our home, covered by a veranda, and there's a locked gate at the front and back of the property. A few years ago I did some research and found out that our home is situated near the Gallows Corner, where public executions of highway robbers took place between 1801 and 1868. I often wondered if a knocking on the door and the window we heard was the spirit of one of those souls. I think so. That is terrifying. And to be on a property or near property that has such a troublesome history is, you're bound to get some activity, right? That is terrifying. And it's even worse when your dad checks and says everything's fine. It's like, shit. So I can get these lashes on before my battery runs out. My battery's flashing red at me. Just so I put these lashes on, I'm having to rush. My camera's gonna die. I need to take a picture yet. Thank you so much for all those amazing stories this week. Like I said, if you want to send your story in, you can send it right to this email address right here. Ghost stories, weird experiences, aliens, animals, other things. Thank you so much for joining me. This is my Poisoned by Poison Ivy. Look, I might do a green liner on the eye for a picture. Yeah, thank you again for joining me. Thank you for those incredible stories. I'm going to go and kiss my dogs and hug them. And I will see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.